Rush hour in Houston on a hot summer morning. Traffic is snarling, temperatures rising and tempers flaring. A minor fender bender can turn into a major case of road rage. That's what happened when Jonathan Abels and Crystal Scott were driving to work that morning, but only one of them had a gun and only one would go home alive.
It doesn't seem
I'm so sorry.
real.
So sorry, Kyle. I'm so sorry.
Emotions are still raw for Kyle and Charlene Oakwin after Crystal shot and killed their son, Jonathan.
Still today, I still wait to see our baby walk through that door. Hi, Mom. Give me a great big old bear hug.
What happened that morning is in dispute. Is this a case of road rage turned deadly, or is it a case of a young woman who killed in self-defense? It all starts with Crystal's call to 911.
You said 911. I need trouble. We got hit by a truck. You went to the location, emergency. I'm on 1960.
FM 1960, a busy highway in northwest Houston. 22-year-old Jonathan was driving to his job in the oil industry. Crystal, then a 23-year-old single mum, was on her way to the office. They were in adjacent lanes when Crystal apparently cut him off.
Jonathan bright-lighted her. He blew his horn. He swerved over and got into the fast lane, coming really close to her car but not making contact.
Witnesses say they were in a high-speed game of chicken, running red lights, their cars brushing against one another. They pull into this Shell station. That's when things get out of hand. Crystal says Jonathan gets out of his pickup truck, runs toward her, screaming profanities and banging on her car. She says she fears for her life, pulls out her .40 caliber handgun and fires. 2 shots, one hits Jonathan in the chest. He dies instantly. On the snippet of the 911 call Crime Watch Daily was able to obtain, you can hear what appears to be screaming.
Along with Crystal's own call to 911, several witnesses here also called police moments after hearing the gunshots. Those calls, of course, critical to determining what really went down here. Now, Crime Watch Daily applied for access to those calls through the Freedom of Information Act, but quite curiously, our requests were denied by both the Sheriff's Department and the Texas Attorney General.
On those 911 tapes, you never hear one struggle, one bang, nothing.
Jonathan's parents say they have heard the other 911 calls. They claim in the heated moment at the gas station, Crystal angrily taunts their son after she shoots him dead.
After she killed my son, she gets out of her car. She says, "That's what you get, you punk." Why the are you trying to talk to me? That's what she says. She doesn't say, "Oh my God, look what I've done. Oh my God, I'm in fear for my life." She says none of those things.
Or let go of my door, you know, or any of that. No struggle.
He wasn't a person with a violent temperament. You don't
No.
believe that he would have been the aggressor in this circumstance?
No, absolutely not.
Kyle and Charlene tell me they don't buy Crystal's version because eyewitnesses told cops he had his hands up, and a co-worker who was in Jonathan's truck during the incident reportedly says he wasn't acting aggressively.
Were Jonathan's fingerprints found on the car or on one of the windows in this area, which would go to the fact that he was in fact menacing her in those final moments?
Sure.
No.
No, there was nothing.
None at all?
No evidence of Jonathan's DNA or fingerprints found on her car that day or any time.
Crystal had a legal concealed carry permit. She claims the gun was for her own protection. She told Crime Watch Daily by phone, "I would never do anything to hurt anyone unless my life was in danger."
This is a classic stand your ground case. That is a common, law term for it. And basically what that means is whether or not, if you're in fear of serious bodily injury or death, whether or not you have the right to stand your ground and defend your life.
Despite her claims, the grand jury initially indicts Crystal on a murder charge. But later, the Harris County District Attorney dismissed the case, saying there wasn't enough evidence to prove murder. Crime Watch Daily asked to see the official police report and subsequent investigation, but the DA denied our request.
They told us that they were dropping the case. It was like pouring alcohol on an open wound.
Crystal's perspective is that she's a victim here too. She was caught up in a terrifying road rage attack.
Crystal drove her car home. Where did my son go?
You really feel that this is a woman who's got away with murder?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely, man.
That's what Jonathan's fiancée, Evelyn, says she thinks too.
Is it still difficult to look at photos of you guys together? And
Yeah, I just don't feel like I'm the same anymore. I never got to say goodbye. I never, never got to kiss him goodbye or nothing. He just left that morning and he's gone.
This man, an eyewitness, says he saw the angry episode and believes the cops got it all wrong. Yellow police tape surrounds the pumps at this Houston gas station. Moments earlier, Jonathan Abels was shot to death in what's being called a case of road rage. His parents, Charlene and Kyle, still can't hold back the tears.
Just like every morning when we wake up, it's the same thing. We wake up, John's not here. He's not coming back.
After a minor traffic accident, Jonathan and Crystal Scott pulled into this Shell station. Crystal says he rushed toward her in a threatening manner. She shot him, she says, because she feared for her life.
I have to tell you that from the onset of this incident, it's been an emotional roller coaster for her, as you can imagine. She's had mental breakdowns. She's seen psychologists as a result of the incident that occurred on that day.
Crystal, a single mum, was indicted on a murder charge. Eyewitnesses had conflicting stories about what exactly happened in those critical moments, but after a lengthy investigation, the Harris County DA dropped the charge, saying there wasn't enough evidence to prove murder.
Now, given the wildly differing versions of this event, the only real way for police to know for certain what happened will be to see it all play out on security camera. Well, turns out there was a camera, a fixed camera just here. Jonathan's family applied for access to see the footage, but they were told in an extraordinary stroke of bad luck, the camera wasn't rolling.
There were so many people who saw what went on. Very few of them have come forward.
We tracked down one of the witnesses who says he saw and heard it all.
So Adolfo, we'll just walk over to basically where you were filling up.
His name is Adolfo Campos, speaking exclusively to Crime Watch Daily. Adolfo says he was at that pump filling his car when Jonathan and Crystal pulled into the station.
Well, when I was pumping gas, I saw a truck, which is Jonathan's truck, pull off that way in a car and stop right there.
You got a pretty clear view.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's walking up. Was he running? What was his demeanor like?
He was walking, just walking towards the car.
The version of events that police have asked people to accept is that he was running up, he was aggressive, he was thumping on the window,
Right.
and essentially Crystal feared for her life.
Right.
Do you accept that that could have happened?
There's no way I wouldn't have heard that. I would have heard him pounding on the door. I would have heard him yelling or screaming.
You have absolutely no doubt that there was no way that Jonathan could have been threatening and thumping on her window?
No, absolutely not. There's no way. There's no way he was being threatening or trying to get her out of the car or trying to break through her window. If he was trying to do that, I would have been like, hey, dude, what's going on? What are you doing? She shot this way.
Adolfo takes me to the exact spot where he says Crystal and Jonathan were at the time of the shooting.
For us to believe the police version of events and Crystal's version of events, I've got to be thumping on the door.
Yeah, and her door handle will be right here.
And her handle's right here.
Yeah, and he got shot exactly right there. I don't think he was next to her door.
Right.
I think he was more towards where the side view mirror is. And if he's right there, how is he reaching for her door? That's a long arm.
Adolfo says one of the bullets whizzed by within inches of his head, ricocheting off his car and into the bushes. He claims if Jonathan was in Crystal's face, that bullet could not have come even close to him. Using a long red string, he demonstrates how he saw the trajectory of the bullet.
This is where above my car got hit right here.
Right.
I was right there. So I don't know if the bullet came in front of me or behind me, but it hit the car and it went that way. He was standing right next to her door where her handle is. The shot wouldn't have been this way. The shot would have been like that way.
Now, Adolfo has written a new and highly detailed statement which essentially puts into black and white everything that he told us and also makes clear that he is prepared to testify. Now, the Assistant District Attorney, Travis Dunlap, has agreed to meet with me to discuss how, if at all, this may affect the case. Let's see what he has to say.
Inside the massive Harris County Criminal Courts building, I spoke to the attorney in charge of the case without our cameras rolling.
Okay, I've just spent, well, almost 20 minutes meeting with the Assistant District Attorney, who also had present his lead investigator in this case. They have agreed to review Adolfo's statement. They also spoke at length about some of the challenges they actually faced in tracking down the witnesses in this case, but most importantly, they have said that in their view at least, this case is far from technically closed.
So, does that mean Crystal could again be charged in Jonathan's killing?
Sure. You know, she can still be prosecuted for this case.
I will chase her the rest of her life.
Crime Watch Daily arranged for Crystal to come face to face with Jonathan's parents and discuss the events of that tragic day.
What's the one burning question you want to ask her, Kyle?
Why did you follow him? Why did you run the red light? You became the aggressor when you chased him down.
Of course, it all unraveled with this horrible accident. How did you resolve that in your mind, Evelyn? What had happened and how hard is it now?
Still shocked. I actually have to look at pictures of him to, you know, to make sure that he was real at one point. But it hurts. It still does hurt.
Crystal Scott says Jonathan was aggressive with her and she shot him in self-defense.
Do you believe there were other options open to her rather than pulling out and firing her gun?
Absolutely.
Jonathan had civil rights too, you know. But they were violated that day because Crystal thought that her right to defend herself was more pronounced.
After months of negotiations, Crystal agreed to a face-to-face meeting with the family. The interview room is all set up, the chairs are in place. But at the last minute, we would get the phone call that would change everything.
Matt, I'm on the phone with Letitia,
What's the
Crystal's
verdict?
attorney. She's not coming.
I mean, she understands that the problem with this is that she will no longer have an opportunity to tell her side of the story.
Crystal's attorney, Letitia QUINONES, explains why her client cancelled.
Crystal's decided that she doesn't feel up to speaking with us today.
That is correct, unfortunately, yes. As time drew near, I think emotionally it became overwhelming for her.
And I've been told there may be more to Crystal's cancellation than a simple case of cold feet.
I've also learned recently that she's planning to write a book on this experience. Can you confirm that?
Well, actually, her father told her that instead of, you know, getting it out and putting herself in front of the family, that if she needed to get out her story, for her to write it in a book. Yeah.
I now have the difficult job of breaking the disappointing news to Jonathan's family. As they walk into the hotel, they're about to find out the confrontation they have been waiting so long for isn't going to happen.
Basically, she didn't show up for our interview. What I have been able to achieve is her attorney is still here, and her attorney is prepared to meet with you if that's something that you might be interested in doing. Is that something that you'd be prepared to do?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's a pleasure to meet you. Nice to meet you. Likewise, and it's a pleasure to meet you as well.
When the family enters the room, Letitia takes what would have been Crystal's chair.
Thanks for agreeing to meet, guys, both of you. It's obviously this is a really, really tough moment for both sides. Perhaps, Letitia, you might like to explain why Crystal took the decision not to be here today.
You know, to be completely honest, I first want to tell you that I take no pleasure in the job that I have to do, but I have to do a job. Crystal was geared up and ready to come, and up until, as late as this morning, she was willing to do it. And as the time grew nearer, I really believe that her emotions took the best of her, and I don't think she was ready.
I understand it was hard for Crystal to come here. Do you realize how hard it was for me and my wife to come here?
I do.
To look at the woman who killed our son, no matter if she was right or wrong.
Sure.
It's very hard.
I know. Okay?
We've heard the 911 tape. We've all heard it. And Letitia, to be honest, we don't hear any banging or profanities being screamed at her. We don't hear any struggle for any door. You stated that Jonathan banged on the window, kicked the door, he busted the window, He tried to open the door. You made all these statements on a news media.
I did.
We come to find out that may not be true.
Letitia, can you address that?
Sure.
That if there was so much aggression from Jonathan, why none of that was conveyed on the 911 call?
I can't say that. I can't answer that question as to why that wasn't present.
So you're saying that the way he expressed his emotions was, you feel that that was reason enough for him to be shot?
No, what I felt like is his behavior caused Crystal to feel like her life was in danger. And that the law provides for that if someone feels that way and does so reasonably, then they have a right to defend themselves with deadly force.
At what point do you feel Crystal became in fear for her life?
At the time she pulled the trigger.
Can you accept that?
Absolutely not. I heard the 911 tape. Have you heard it?
I have several times.
At any point on there, did you hear any struggle for a door? Did you hear any pounding on the window? So where do you think my son's civil rights ended and Crystal's right to self-defense began?
I don't think you want me to answer that question because I think it would be hurtful and I'm not here to cause any pain on you. But I believe that your son behaved in a fashion that was excessive and over the top that created the situation that it did.
And Crystal did not.
I don't believe she did. I don't.
If he was banging on the window, then where's the DNA?
DNA is not always transferred.
She followed him into the parking lot. She knew she had a loaded gun. That's why Crystal followed Jonathan. It wasn't because Crystal knew she was unarmed or that Crystal thought that,
now hearing you, I'm glad Crystal is not here. I really am. Because your tone is that there's nothing that can change your mind, no matter what Crystal says to you. I think I've answered enough questions to the point where you're not going to change your mind about anything that I say. I think I did Crystal justice by being here today, and she will maintain that at the time she pulled the trigger, she felt she had to save her life.
Thank you, Letitia.
You're welcome.
The family is left disillusioned and disappointed.
How you feeling, guys?
Disappointed that Crystal really wasn't here, but appreciative that her attorney did stick around.
I don't think we got any of the answers that we were looking for, though.
Do you feel as though you really walk away from today without any more comfort or any more answers?
None. If Crystal would have been here and she would have been allowed to answer these questions, absolutely. I mean, I've got a list in my pocket here for her.
It's something only Crystal can answer. Will this family ever know what really happened on that hot Houston morning when two people left for work and only one came home?
How constantly is he on your mind?
All the time. Part of me died that day. I'll never get that part of my heart back. Ever. You can't. Murder is so final, people don't realize it.